Okay. So this is maybe I should do something like this. Volume 31 of live programming in F#. And I'm doing this long running code kata of building a get ride application analogous to Uber or Lyft. And I'm doing it in F# in Xamarin.Forms. And I've been enjoying it. I've been pumping out videos that average about an hour. I try to do it every day. I think I missed maybe a couple of days for maybe the past week and a half or so. But yeah, I've been practicing domain-driven design, or at least been inspired by it. I've been uh, entertaining this idea of specification as a library, where you literally have a library that is a specification, and you leave it up to your view model and your domain to interpret that specification, right? So you have the specification, and then you have interpreters. And yeah, that's pretty much it, you know? And so, like, if I close all these windows over here, and I look at this over here, this is the bank cards page that I was working on in the last video. And I mean, I'm not a UX designer, so you have to forgive the UI, but we'll assume that you have some bank cards on here that are registered. And you know what would be probably cool? What would probably be cool is not only did you have the bank card like this, you see how the remove finally gets enabled? Not only if you had the bank card, but maybe there's a couple things. We probably want to obfuscate the digits on the bank card and just leave the last 4, because that's what I see used on actual applications in the real world. And maybe there's a label for the card, such as business or personal. But then again, I mean, they're going to know that based on the type of card that they have or the number. But I mean, it would be easier. IDK. I think that's a feature that's worth adding. And so you can remove a card like that. And you can, here's a question. Here's a bug. Visually, this Visa isn't selected, but this remove is still enabled. I wonder if it crashes if I hit the remove again. Nothing happens, but that remove button should be disabled. If I do that, then, what just happened? If I do that and then hit remove, then that's fine. Okay. So, I don't know. You have view models, you have bank cards, and that remove should be this right here. And I don't like that submit. I don't like that at all. I'm going to call this remove, like that. And that remove, which is up here, if it's okay, it's cards equal whatever. Your card removed is set to true. And I think your x.card, that's comma, x.card should be set to none, something like that. And probably a good idea to write a test for that. So over here, we have our bank cards. And we should probably add a test right here in which we say that our viewModel.card should equal none, something like that. Remove bank card results in no card selected, and something like that. Okay, because this card is an option. So if we attempt to run this test right here, hopefully that should be green. And the test is green. Okay. So theoretically, if I rerun this application, then hopefully, let me get rid of that tick right there. Hopefully, that remove button will be disabled each time I remove a card or after I remove a card. So I could try that out. And if it doesn't get disabled, then I'm going to be confused. All right, so I select a card, I hit remove. I expect that after I hit remove, that the remove button becomes disabled again. And that's what I want. Ah, it's disabled again. Okay. Select another card, it becomes re-enabled, hit remove. Ah, it becomes disabled again. Okay. Now, there's some other things that we may want to say, such as, well, your remove button should only be visible in this box view that serves as a separator should only be visible if we have cards. Else, if there's no cards, then we shouldn't expose this on the UI. We should only have a new card right here. Okay. So how can that be accomplished? We can go to our, let's go to our account domain, and let's go to the UI. And for bank cards, we probably want to say that this box view, we want to set the visibility of this. There's a couple things we probably want to do. So let's first create a style for box view. So I'll say, I'll say style, and this is going to be a box view style. Okay. And I'm going to say that the target type equals a box view. Okay. And so this is going to have some setter, something like that, right? And your setter is going to have a property, something like that. It's going to have a value, which is something like that, okay? So then we can go down here to our box. Let's collapse this list view. We can go down here and figure out our box view. We see that the width request is 1. And we see our margin is this value right here. So we can go up here and we can say that our width request equals 1, and we can say that our let me say setter, and then property, and then say this is going to be margin. Say this is going to be margin, and say that the value is going to be this value right here. Okay, and then we can close that. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. So now what else? Well, in that box view, we got rid of margin. We got rid of width request. There's a height request that's 100, and there's a color that's light gray. So over here for our margin, we can say, or for our box view style, we can say that the setter property equals width request. So width request, I thought it was height request. Height request. Height request. Say value equals 100. Then you could say, oh yeah, I got to put the end tag, and then you could say setter, and then you could say property, and property what? The color, and that's going to be come back, Willis. That's going to be value, and that's going to be gray, like that. Okay. So now we got that over there. Oh, come here, Willis. Something like that over here. Okay. All right. So now what? We got height request and color that we filled out. Oh, and that's light gray. Okay. Then you have vertical option and horizontal options are both start. Okay. So you change that to light gray. And then we can do something like this would be property vertical options. And this would be start. And then the other one would be, come here. The other one would be horizontal options, right? Horizontal options, and that would be start. And then we can sing Kumbaya because we're going to be one happy family. So we do something like that over here, something like that over there. Then we have this box view style over here that we can now set as a style for our box view, which is over here. Okay, so then we can do something like style equals static resource, pendejo, and we can say box view style like that. Now, if we go back to our view over here, that appears to still be fine. Now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you, now that we have our style in place for the box view, we can now decide to say something like is visible will be bound to what, Willis? Well, it will be bound to our cards. So we say cards, okay? But we need a converter, right? Because cards is an observable collection of a validated card, and well, is visible as a bool type. So we need a converter that will basically say what, Willis? Well, it'll be a any converter, right? And you could say any to bool converter like that. Okay, Willis? So this any to bool converter, well, that hasn't really been defined yet. But I could go up here and let's collapse these styles down because they are in my way. And I wish I could do Control MO, but that doesn't work in the XAML editor. It does not. So over here, we have our converters. And so we can have a converters, I can't spell, converters. And then you could do any to bool converter. And then you could say X key. And then you could say that that is a any to bool converter. And then you can close that tag like that. Okay. Now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you, this any to bool converter, well, that needs to be defined. In order for me to define it, I need to turn off the running session, and I need to go to my converters folder and add a new converter. And so this is going to be a class, and it's going to be called, guess what? Your any to bool converter, like that. Okay. And so now I have my any to bool converter like that. Okay. And I do something like that. And I should probably make this thing public. And I should say that you implement iValue converter, which you won't be surprised how many people that claim to be a Xamarin.Forms developer, they have no clue how to data bind a property of on a view model and the property of a control in which they both have different data types. They have no concept of a value converter. And then they tell me, Scott, you're being too hard on them. I'm like, I'm not being too hard on them. They said they're a Xamarin.Forms developer. This is something you should know, especially if you have the audacity to say that you're a professional Xamarin.Forms developer. I'm not being hard on them at all. If you say that you're a professional, you say that you specialize in Xamarin.Forms, then you should understand the tools. And that's it, flat out. All right, so now we have this convert, right? And so you have this convert, and then you say var what? Well, you say var items equals value, and that's going to be as I enumerable pendejo, I enumerable, something like that. Okay. Your I enumerable still has to operate on something. I mean, okay, well, we know at the end of the day it's going to be an object, right? Do I really need to be explicit? I don't think I do. I mean, at runtime, it's going to be an observable collection that operates on a validated card. No. It's an observable collection that operates on a card renderer. But I mean, I kind of want this to be generic because I don't really care about those details. I just want to know that this items has something, right? So then you could just say return items dot, and it should be any right here. In order for that to take place, you probably have to import using system.link like that over here, okay? And hopefully this any is now returned. Okay, so now what, Willis? Well, we could put a breakpoint right there. And then over this any to bool converter, we can go back to the XAML over here. And well, what's the problem? Says verify that all. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't recognize it because I haven't compiled it yet. So that should be straight. Okay, and then we'll just do the same thing with what, Willis? Well, with this remove button, we should have the invisible being the exact same thing right here. Okay, the exception of that. All right. So now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. I like having things lined up. It gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling. All right, something like that. Now what? Well, I think this is okay for right now. If we attempt to run this now, we can, hopefully everything builds. I didn't change any logic, and which means that my test should still pass. Okay. Now I'm not going to run my test, at least not now. Everything appears to build. The page is getting ready or being prepared to be rendered. And we go. Come on, Willis. Ugh. It should render this page, and this page is rendered. Now what, Willis? Well, I'll tell you. So theoretically, when I remove this, there's a couple things. One is I'm surprised that this didn't get triggered. That's raising a flag. This convert back, if that were to get triggered, that would throw an exception. Just saying. If I hit remove, that doesn't do anything. Okay, so something's not right. My binding is off. And it says it right here. There's a binding right here. And says get right to whatever. Cannot be converted to system.boolean. Okay. So why is that happening? Let's go back to my XAML. And I know what I did wrong. I'm supposed to say static resource. So say static resource. And over here, do something like that. Okay. And that's why. Do that over here. Okay. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. Do that over there. And I'm sorry. Hit OK. Let's rerun this. Oh, and the breakpoint was hit. So we're rerunning this right now. Now this should work. And now this breakpoint is being hit for any bool converter, right? And so it should be set to true. Okay. And so then we select the item, we hit remove. Okay. It should still be set to true. Okay. And then we select another item and we click remove. Okay. That is now set to 0. So this over here, when I execute this convert on this any to bool converter, this separator line right here and this remove button should be hidden. So I run that and it is hidden, and the only option that we have is a new card. Okay, cool. Now what? I think now is a good time to say goodbye to all our family. MICKEYMOUSC. I need to commit this and say commit. And over here, I'll say what? Edit test for setting selected card to none and updated visibility of separator and remove button for 0 cards displayed like that. Okay, something like that. And you can go ahead and commit. Oh, maybe I should run my test first. That's always a good thing to do. So the tests are running. And the tests are green. I'll check you in, okay? So that's done. What else, Willis? Well, I'll tell you that that's my test file. What needs to be done now, I'll probably save it for another video, is this add bank card right here, right? So you can add bank card like over here. And, well, that's not what I wanted. In this add bank card on my view models over here, well, that's not what I wanted either. This is add bank card right here, my delegate command. Okay. So this right here claims that it's going to hit submit. And, well, okay, that looks okay. La 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 la. That add bank card is not the right view model I want to look at. It's supposed to be my bank cards over here. Count view models, bank cards. This is the view model I'm supposed to be looking at. And so you have a add bank card command over here, and it doesn't do anything. What needs to happen is that there needs to be a message of some type that gets broadcasted, and the app logic receives that message, processes it, and performs the navigation. So there's something like, add card. All right. So there might be like a request dot add card, and then that would pipe into, and how do I say this? This would probably be an account int, and then that would pipe into a request.add card. And then that would be broadcast to, and then some handlers or something like that. Okay. Now we haven't defined I don't think we defined an add card request, or have we? If I go into my, let's scope on this account over here, and there's under the specification, I could look for operations, and there's a attempt add card, attempt remove. There's an account. See, all of this is for the add bank card page where you put in the card information. This, I don't think, these operations, the request add bank card, maybe I could say that is navigation or navigate to. That probably needs to be defined in my app logic, but the app logic has a dependency on view model, which means that there'll be a circular dependency, which isn't good. So how does this get resolved? Well, I'm not sure yet. This can be it could be a request. So you can have, this is your account as a dependency, your query, your try remove, and you can probably have a request. We could throw the try remove in our request structure, and then we could also say, navigate to as well. But we also have this handlers right here, but this is for an error. Is this even being used anywhere? I don't think this. I think the handlers is being used in an automated test. All right, so something that we can do is we can say try remove is a command. We can maybe have something like this: type request, and that's going to be equal to something in which we have a navigate to, and that will be, we say navigation. Okay, and that is going to be what? Well, in this case, we should say this request is so I have to define. How's this going to work? We still have to define a type in which it's going to take a add bank card like that, and it's going to return a unit. like that. Okay. So in the count specification operations, then maybe we have a type and we say navigate to equals, and then we can maybe say it's going to take in account, account, and it's going to also take navigate request, and it's going to return a unit, meaning a side effect. The navigate request is something like type navigate request equals, and for right now it'll be either call it new bank card or add bank card. Say add bank card. Okay. And maybe we don't say navigate request, maybe we say page request. And that would be right now a bank card. And that bank is going to be of account, like that. Okay. And so that means that navigate to doesn't require an account because it already has that inside of it. Something like that. Okay. And so then we can have do I still want to say navigate to or say request page? Okay. And that request page, we can move this page request out of operations and move that into our language. So we'll just throw this, I don't know, throw it down here somewhere. Okay. And then what else? That is it for right now, I think. Now, the question is, before everything was kind of related to a data store, but still is I/O. And well, a UI is still I/O. It's still I/O, even though it's not specifically associated to a data store. So maybe this request page is okay to be here in this bank cards module for the operations file. Okay. So then I can go back to my bank cards over here, and there's a request, and then you can say page. And here you can say that this is going to be a request page. And that's it. And then maybe we can say see, I don't know if we should really call this request or just say that this is going to be navigate. Navigate navigate. Oh, what the freak? I'll just like the whole thing and delete it, and then say navigate to. Okay. And then over here, I can add a new property called, let's try remove. I don't know why that's lowercase, but I can have a navigate to, and that's going to be this right here. And I don't know, that looks kind of funky, but whatever right now. What else? I think that's okay right now. This try over here, that should be a uppercase try. That's going to cause a whole bunch of errors. All right, so then over here, there's a navigate to, and then we say, what do we have over here? It's a record that takes this navigate to is a record, and so then we have to say dot page, and then that broadcasts to handlers like that. Now this error is going to say that field page is not static. I don't know what that means, but if we go back up here, what we need to do is we have our, down here, we can have actually, I can have a let navigate to equal, and this dependencies dot navigate to like that. And then everything must be aligned. Then this navigate to can be used down here, which I should just be able to say navigate to dot page, and that page, the type of count does not match page request. And so then I can say that this is going to be a page request specifically it's add bank card. So you can have a count that pipes into a add bank card, and then you can pipe that into a navigate to page. Okay. Now this is complaining because it says this expression is expected to have a count, but here it has A, B, C. Your add bank card is up there, so you have to say you want a page request dot add bank card. So you do something like this, and it says page request not defined, and you should be defined. Do I need to build you? Because the operations is here, but the language is right here. So I don't think we imported the language. Maybe that's why. So over here we say open, and then we say open, and then we'll say something like this, language. Then we'll go back down here. And it's saying that you broadcast to what? Well, handlers is currently a handle error list. That's not what we want. We want our handlers to be anything. So you can say handlers. Oh, hold up. Even if I did something like this, I did that in the wrong spot. Even if I did something like this, that's not going to work. There definitely should be a air handlers in here. And so maybe we can call this air handlers, okay? Uh-oh, where am I at? I keep hitting the... Start over. This is air... Start over. This is air handlers, okay? And then we could bring this back like this. And there probably needs to be some just handlers, period. See, that's the handle error list. Okay. And then we'll have, I'm not sure how strict we want to be, but we'll have navigation handlers. And that'll be a, what is that going to be? That'll be a, ultimately it's going to be a page request that ultimately results in a unit, and that's going to be list. I think that's what we want to broadcast to. So now we can say, well, this handle error, that's defined in, I think that's defined in core. Where am I at? Yeah, that's in core. But in this case, we want this page request to unit. I thought this was called a request page. I thought it's what we called it. Ah, okay. Yeah. And so now that's pretty specific. Something like this. Okay. So now you have navigation handlers, you have air handlers, you have navigate to. And the difference between navigate to and navigation handlers is navigate to actually takes the payload and the request. The navigation handlers will take that request and basically iterate through his subscribers for whoever can handle that request. Something tells me that this navigation handler should just be it should just be abstract and it shouldn't be of type request page. Like something tells me I should just have handlers on here. like this, and that it should just be in this case, I wonder if I could get away with a up here and then a right here. That's what I'm wondering. And then this over here is complaining. It expects one type but is given 0. I have no clue what that means. Oh, yeah. Because you want to, how's this going to work? Do I do something like this? Is it going to let me do this up here? Okay. And down here, broadcast to what? Well, now we can say that this handlers should be called air handlers. That. And then we should just have handlers for anything else. So then we can say that here we can say handlers equals what? And then we could say equals handlers like that. So then hopefully we can just say that when we want to broadcast this, we want to broadcast it to handlers. And that says, I don't know, it needs to be constrained. Okay, so then I could say, all right, well, you want to be constrained to some type. So fine, I'll constrain you to go back to, let's get rid of this, and you're going to be a page request like that. And I don't need you anymore. Okay. And then I feel like I'm in the same boat again, expecting a unit list, but giving a page request. Okay, so this broadcast to was taking some type and returning a unit. And okay, let's do a couple things over here. Something like that. And what really is the problem over here? Let's say that we want to take this and we want to break it down some. So let's say that we want to say something like that. Like that. Now in here, we want to say let request equals, or we can just, let's start over. Let's up here, we'll have a let, and we'll just say foo equals, and then we'll put all this logic right here. And we'll have this, okay? Now, this handlers still says that, well, the error says type mismatch, expecting a function that is unit and list, but given a page request list. Okay. So if we, why is this animals in here still? So if we go to our handlers right here, that is a page request, right? That's what this handlers is right here. And so if you look at over here, that's a page request, and that's what we're using. So then over here, we want to say page request. This navigate to page. This request page over here. Okay. So I don't really understand what this error is about. Do I need to build everything? The type mismatch expecting a function that is of type unit list, but given a page request list. One is a function, so the type unit does not match the page request. Okay. Let's look at this add bank card. This is of type account. So the account is right here, and that looks like that should work, right? Now, if we wanted to break this down, which we shouldn't have to, we could break it down to something like this. Let request equal, and then you can say that this is going to be a add bank card that takes an account. Now what? Then you can say that we want to take that request and navigate to a page. Okay, well, that is going to be the request page function, which takes a page request and returns a unit. Okay. So now what? Well, that returns a unit, but we're trying to pipe that into this broadcast too. And that is where we have issues because broadcast 2 doesn't take a unit. Broadcast 2 takes, okay, so I think I have it now. So you want to take this request and you want to take that request and pipe it into broadcast 2. And that's where, that was where this handler should now be okay. So now it says that type mismatch expecting page requests, expecting a function that takes a page request and returns a unit, right? And we expect a list of those functions, but given it a page request list. Okay. So this broadcast 2 returns a unit. Broadcast 2 takes handlers as an input. Okay, broadcast 2 takes a function called handlers, which is essentially, okay, let me start over. Broadcast 2 takes as its first parameter handlers, which is essentially a list of functions that takes some arbitrary type as input and yields a side effect, aka unit. And then it also takes at the end a message. Okay, so this is the message broadcast to handlers. That looks fine to me. And it says the type page request unit does not match the type page request. Oh, well, no, that's fine because this is page request. We're broadcasting that to handlers. And yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to take a break and then it'll be clear to me what that function is actually complaining about. But for right now, call that foo. That foo really should be probably should be a function. And then we can rename that to a navigate like that. how to call that navigate, and like this over here. And so that navigate again takes a unit as a parameter. So then that should, I can take this right here and move that back up here. Okay. And I'll take a break and then I'll figure out what the actual issue is right here. And that's it. I'm ending this video. I'm out.